What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel and welcome to today's video. So I was out in Vegas for about the last week and a half, 2 weeks, doing some training and everything like that for work. And when I got back middle of the week this past week, it was super nice outside. It's 55, 60 degrees almost. So I go and decide I'm going to go and take the little girl out for a spin here. And I go to the gas station to go and put some fuel in it and whatever else, right? And this guy goes and starts chatting me up. And invariably, it comes back to, how much does it make, right? So I go and tell him how much it makes. And he goes and replies, it's like, oh, it's not 1,000? What? So, I don't know. It kind of got me thinking. I wasn't mad about it or anything, but it kind of got me thinking, how much does it actually cost to make a 1,000 horsepower Supra, right? Now, I generally tend to be kind of one of those deal hunters, bargain hunters, whatever you want to call it. So, I'll go and wait a while to go and find the part that I want at a decent price and whatever. Consequently, it takes me a while to go and get things done. But anyway, so for any of you Supra owners, or even if you're not, maybe you run another platform or whatever, right? You probably got something like this. Now, this guy is literally a receipt book for pretty much every single dollar I have spent on the car ever. If you saw the dyno video, which I will link right up here, then you know how much the car makes. That was pretty much at sea level. And so we're going to go and run through how much it costs to get the car to that point, and then how much more it'll cost to go and get the car to the 1,000 horsepower mark for it just on the rollers. So right now the car is limited both by the turbo, because that thing caps out at about 935-ish, as well as the fuel system, right back up in here. The way the car's set up right now, there's not a chance at all it's going to go and make that 1,000 horsepower mark. But let's go ahead and kind of dive in on what it cost me to go and get the car up to this point, as well as how much more money we're going to need to go and spend to get that extra 100 horsepower. So basically what I did, just kind of before we go and jump into some numbers here, I went and broke it down to 6 different categories. Okay, one of those would be the turbo, for example. And that category would include things like the exhaust manifold, the turbo itself, intercooler piping, the intercooler, downpipe, mid-pipe, catback, dump tubes, all that stuff. That's all in one little clump. Similarly for the engine, that's going to include all the internals, so pistons, rods, wrist pins, bearings, main caps, machine work, everything. The cylinder head is going to include the cams. It's going to include all that stuff. So I didn't go line item by line item. If anybody wants a little bit more in-depth breakdown of the whole thing, just shoot me a PM or something on here on Instagram. I'll be happy to get that to you. So the main reason I didn't do a line item breakdown is just because this is a whole lot of receipts. And yeah, there's some instruction manuals and stuff in here, but as you can see, a lot of it's invoices. So, all right, so as you can see on the first bit here, we got engine management. So that's going to be our Pro EFI. Turbo stuff we just talked about. Long block, same deal. Fuel, it's going to be obviously our injectors, rail, pumps, fittings, line, all that kind of stuff. Drivetrain is going to be things like the clutch, drive shaft, axles, rear differential, all that kind of stuff. Tuning's obviously tuning. So when we're talking cost, we're talking did you go to Real Street Performance, MVP, Sound Performance, one of the vendors, and did you go and buy directly from them? Or in the price column, basically that's what I paid versus what it would actually cost if you were to kind of go to their website and do it now, basically, not on a Black Friday sale or anything else like that. So coming over here, as you can see, between all this stuff, I would have paid about 25 grand. And if I were to go and buy it just from the website and not actually look for a good deal or anything, it would have been almost $37,000 right there. Now, just initially, that's pretty mind-boggling. And at least for me, I've also had this car for about 10 years. I bought it back in 2008 or 9-ish, somewhere in there. So I've had it for a hot minute. This is also probably, I think, part of the reason that you see a lot of guys taking their sweet time with their build, and part of the reason it goes and takes 1.5 years, 2 years to go through and actually get the car done, just because that's a whole lot of money. If you're talking about shelling out, $40,000 for a Supra right now, and then you want to go and drop another $37,000 on parts, that's a lot of money, for most folks. Maybe for some of you it's not. For me, I know dropping 17 grand on a car right now would be. Now this right here is basically what it costs to get the car up to this power level that we're at right now, okay? So what we're gonna do for this next bit is subtract out the fuel, the turbo, as well as the catback and everything, because the veil side's only 3.5 inch and meh. So that'll actually decrease the cost I paid by about $3,200, and that'll decrease the overall cost by almost $5,000. So to go and get this thing up to 1,000 horsepower, we're gonna need to go and swap out a few things. So the first thing we're gonna need to replace is obviously this guy. Not this one specifically, because this is gonna be our new one. This is a Precision 7675 dual ball bearing unit, Gen 2. Should be good up to about 1,300 horsepower, which is awesome. Now I know I said we're going for 1,000 horsepower. One thing I might have forgot to mention is the altitude adjustment. I'm at about 7,000 feet in Colorado right here where I'm at. So once you actually do the math and figure out how much horsepower you lose going from sea level up to here at elevation, if I put down 1,300 horsepower at sea level, like it's Sound Performance or something, when I get back here to elevation in Colorado, it's going to be at about 1050-ish, maybe 1,100 on the high end. So we're going to shoot a little bit high just so that we do have 1,000 horsepower here at elevation in Colorado. And the next thing we're going to need to replace is the fuel system. This right here is going to be our Weldon mechanical pump. I already got the bracket for this and one of these boxes and everything over here, so we can go ahead and dig that out. So the turbo actually ran me about 1,900 bucks. Normally if you go to Real Street or any place like that, it's gonna cost you 2,700, somewhere in there. I have ordered the injectors, paid a little over $2,000 for them. They normally go for about 2,500. That's the Injector Dynamics IDX 1050s for primaries and the 1,700s for secondaries. Fuel pump, we already got and talked about. Fittings and lines, kind of budgeting about 500 bucks for that on both sides of the house. Next thing is going to be the Sleeper Designs RMR style intake manifold. Budgeting about 3,100 bucks for that. PHR cooling stuff, it's going to be about 1,200 bucks. And then the HKS Racing TI. I found a spot I can get it for about 1,050. Normally costs from Powerhouse about 1,400 bucks. And once we get all those parts in, some of them I still have to order, like the intake manifold and the cooling stuff. I'm waiting for the Black Friday sales to see if maybe hopefully something comes online there. And if it does, we'll go ahead and order it then. If not, then I'll probably go ahead and order it regardless because I still will need it. But anyway, all of that stuff together that we just talked about a second ago, you ready for this? All of that together is going to be about $10,436. Or if you like to pay full retail, it's going to be a little over $12,000. So when we go through and add up all of this, we got our $10,000 plus the $21,800. That's going to go and bring our grand total for 1,000 horsepower to $44,957 if you were to go and buy that stuff just outright and not go and look for deals. If you're like me and you do look for deals, that's going to bring your cost for 1,000 horsepower Supra to a little over $32,000. And that's in addition to the price of the car. So if you're dropping 40 grand on one of these and then you want to go and have 1,000 horsepower Supra, you're going to spend about 33,000 bucks just on power adders. Disclaimer, there are some things that I'm not including in this list. For example, we did not talk about suspension. All right, I didn't include any suspension stuff. I did not include wheels and tires. I did not include any safety equipment. No, didn't talk about parachutes or roll cages or anything like that. Didn't talk about any brake upgrades. Didn't talk about any cosmetic upgrades or carbon fiber headlight replacement inlet ducts. This assumes that you do it all yourself. This assumes that you measure the bearing clearances and the ring gap and measure the backlash and the run out on the diff. I mean, this assumes that you literally do it all yourself, okay? So this is just a raw cost if you're a DIY guy and you're super mechanically inclined, and that's about it. If you want to pay a shop, I have no idea how much that's going to cost. Like, just so you're aware, this is not talking about any of that kind of stuff. So now that you guys have seen how much the current setup of the car costs versus how much more it's going to go and cost to get that last 100 plus horsepower out of the car, you also know what to expect for the winter build coming up. Now the turbo, that part's going to be easy. That's just a simple bolt off, bolt on. That'll be super simple. We are going to need to weld on a turn down to the compressor outlet, which will be pretty straightforward. I also wanted to go and weld up an intake system from this guy all the way back to the compressor inlet. Shouldn't be too hard. Hopefully we can get the angles right. Fair warning, I'm not a welder by trade, so my welds are probably not gonna look too terribly hot. Yeah, that's the goal. I don't know, I thought it'd be kind of neat to go from this guy into the turbo. That'd be fun. And the one thing I'm super excited about coming up this winter is gonna be redoing the fuel system, which I know sounds probably a weird thing to say. Nick, why are you excited about redoing something you've already done? Well, when I was in the Marine Corps, doing hydraulic fittings and stuff like that and hydraulic lines was super fun. I love that part of my job. It was honestly probably one of the best things. So I'm really looking forward to going and redoing all the plumbing and everything for the fuel system and showing you guys how we do it, showing you guys a proper technique for going and doing multi-piece fittings and everything on steel braided line, and really just showing you how I route things and the best way to do it, just in case you are thinking about doing a mechanical fuel system yourself. Figured it'd be a good thing to know. So I looked around on YouTube. I didn't see anybody else doing mechanical fuel system installs or anything. I just kind of wanted to bring that to you guys, kind of show you how I'll be doing it. Who knows, maybe it'll be a good tip or something like that for you, and you want to go and do a mechanical fuel setup as well. I'm not going to dive in yet as to why I selected the injectors or the fuel pump that I did. I'll save that for another video when we actually get to installing it. I will be leaving an electric pump in the tank to go and prime the system and just kind of help get things started. So I'll walk you guys through how I go through and do all that. I will be incorporating a check valve into it. I know Powerhouse has a pump hanger that's already got the check valve stuff all built in. You just got to connect the pump and the wires and it's done. That's like $1,100, and I think that's a little silly personally, especially when you look at all the fittings and stuff. You can do it for about $300. So I'm going to go through and show you guys how I go through and do all that. There are a few other parts that I need to order, specifically the intake manifold and those things. Last I checked on the Sleeper Designs website, we're going to be about 4 to 6 weeks out. Unfortunately, I won't be starting a project for probably about a month or so, but I will definitely keep you guys updated when I do that, so be on the lookout for that content coming up. Other than that, that is going to do it for today's videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day, as always. Be on the lookout for future content coming soon. I'm really looking forward to doing the fuel setup this winter. That's going to be awesome. I know Ryan over on his channel is going to be doing a T56 mag swap on his car from Grandis Racing, so definitely venture over there and check that out. I'll put a link to his stuff in the description below. Other than that, if you guys got any questions or suggestions or anything like that, please feel free to leave me a comment down there in the section below as well. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see y'all very soon in the next video. Catch you next time. Pardon my coat, by the way. It's like 28 degrees out here in the garage right now, so it's a little chilly.